It's episode 3, so third time's a charm, right? Hello, welcome back to Asha Media TV if you are a subscriber, and thank you very much for your support. And if you're new here, welcome. This is my channel where I like to watch and review a variety of stuff related to sci-fi / fantasy / comic books. And my name is Asha, if I didn't say it. I can't remember if I did. So welcome again. And in today's video, I'm going to be summarizing and reviewing the third episode of Supernatural Season 1. Yeah, Season 1. Lots of more episodes to go. Before I get started, let me address the big elephant in the room, especially if you haven't watched any of my other videos since perhaps my last reaction to Supernatural Episode 2. And that is that you are noticing likely there is no reaction to this episode. But before you tune off or unsubscribe, hear me out real quick, okay? Just in case you haven't watched anything else. Click on the link above here. It will lead you to an update video to which I describe what's kind of happened to my channel in the last week and my decisions about what I'm going to upload on my channel versus what I'm going to upload elsewhere. So what that means in gist is that I will continue to react to Supernatural episodes, but I won't be uploading my reactions to YouTube because there's just way too many copyright problems. I mean, episode 2 right now, Warner Brothers TV are making bank with ads they've posted without me. I have no, I'm not monetized at all, and they're monetizing that video. And yeah, so they're making money off of my 3.5 hours of work trying to edit that thing because I'm a slow editor. And so, yeah, I don't think it's fair, and therefore I've made some changes that I'm going to be officializing as of April 1st. So if you want to find out how you can get access to my reactions for free, okay, for free for 30 days, and then I'll see what happens from there. Just look out for my video I'll post on April 1st, and of course I will put out a reminder for all subscribers and give a little bit more updates in future videos to come. So for now, I hope what you'll enjoy is my style of summarizing this episode using collage images that I created. And in these collage images, I kind of put a little bit of my own humor, my own thoughts in it. So it's not just, a straight read off of stuff about the episode. If you look closely, you'll see kind of my inter-joking within each image that I hope you'll find entertaining and kind of my way of giving you a glimpse as to how I reacted to certain scenes in the episode. But of course, before you continue watching the summary, just in case it wasn't obvious, spoiler alert, okay? There are spoilers, and if you just happen to be another person on the planet, probably the only person on the planet that hasn't watched Supernatural, there will be spoilers for this episode and the previous ones I've watched, which are only the last 2, right, of the whole season 1. So just letting you know so you can't say I didn't tell you. And lastly, if you don't give a hoot about watching or listening to my summary of the episode, just go to the description box and click on the timestamp that will lead you to my review of this episode. So without further ado, enjoy my summary of this third episode of season 1 of Supernatural, and then I'll be back to tell you what I thought. This episode opens up in Lake Manitoc, Wisconsin, with Bill, Will, and Sophie Carlton. Sophie is heading out to the lake for her routine morning swim. And while she's in the water, Sophie's suspicious something's watching her, following her, and she's captured by some mysterious force in the water. We are now at some hotel diner where a very, shall we say, thirsty Dean is definitely not making it a secret how thirsty he is. Sam, on the other hand, is like, nah, we're here to work and I'm not interested in water right now. Well, Dean's kind of water anyway. So Dean shows him a newspaper clip indicating Sophie Carlton as a missing girl in Lake Manitoc, Wisconsin. We then see Sam and Dean visit the Carlton household to talk with Will and find out what exactly happened. Will's not even sure what to say. All he knows is his sister's missing, like many others before her, and his dad is a total wreck. Bill Carlton is obviously really shook up, and so Will and Dean decide to try to see if they can get him to talk, but with not much luck. So they end up instead going to the sheriff's office posing as Agent Ford and Agent Hamill, which is a very nice nod to Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill from Star Wars. The sheriff himself doesn't really have much information to give the two supposed agents. And in walks his daughter, the beautiful Andrea Barr, and his not-so-happy-looking grandson, Lucas. Upon seeing the beautiful Andrea, Dean's thirst is back, and he is definitely not shy about letting Andrea know that he is thirsty for her kind of water. But unfortunately, she's all like, sorry, this well is dried out for guys like you. Try tapping somewhere else. Out of what seems to be sheer desperation, Dean still tries to get her attention by saying that he actually loves children. And Sam does not waste any time calling him out on that by basically asking him, how many children do you know, Dean, to even know you like children? And poor Dean, he actually tries thinking about how many kids he knows, which is nil, nada, squat. Sam dials up his internet on his laptop and reads a bunch of articles related to missing people who have gone missing specifically in that particular lake. In one of those newspaper articles, they find out that Andrea's husband was actually killed by this supposed mysterious force on the lake, and that the lone survivor of that attack was her son, Lucas. And so Dean and Sam catch up with Andrea, and Dean tries to connect with Lucas to see if Lucas will open up and spill the beans about what he saw when his father was captured by this monster or creature, who knows what. Despite Dean's excellent stickman drawing skills, Lucas is not that impressed. However, he does eventually walk over to Dean at some point and hands him a hand-drawn picture. Dean takes a look at the image. He's feeling the feels from this kid who seems to be reaching out back to him, and he notices that the kid draws a house, which means absolutely nothing to Dean at that moment in time. We're now back at the Carlton household, where Will Carlton, the brother, is worried about his father and decides to cook him dinner since it looks like Daddy Bill is not eating. And while he's cooking and running the water at the sink, the water starts turning somewhat of a sludgy green. However, Will doesn't notice that. What Will does notice is that his sink is starting to get clogged by this cloudy, muddy water, and he doesn't know what's going on. He tries putting his hand down the drain to unclog the sink, and the mysterious force pulls his face into the water and drowns him. Next, we see Sam, and he tells Dean that Will just drowned in his own kitchen sink. And that was enough for Dean to be like, okay, we gotta talk to Papa Carlton here. Something's going on with the Carlton family, because it's not a coinkydink that now the brother is dead by some weird means involving water. They head on over back to the Carlton household, only to find a very devastated, grief-struck Bill, who is just completely at a loss for words for the loss of his children. To him, it feels like dying. Sam and Dean realize there's not much else they can do to console Bill, and so they decide to walk off. Until we take note that Dean is taking note of something specific. Sam's like, what you looking at? Dean's like, I'm looking at that house. Which house? Dean pulls out the drawing that Lucas gave him and notices that it's actually a drawing of the Carlton house. And with that conclusion, they decide to go back and try to speak with Lucas and see if they can get him to reveal more information. While trying to get Lucas to feel comfortable and open up to him, Dean admits that he thinks his own mom would have wanted him to be brave, and that Lucas's dad probably wants the same thing for him too. And the reason why this is an interesting point in this part of the story is because these particular thoughts about his mom are things he's never shared with Sam. And so that's a great note for me as a viewer to take note of, that there's some stuff about Dean's mom that Dean has not mentioned to Sam, giving Sam somewhat more insight about how Dean thinks and what he thinks when it comes to the subject matter of their mama. Although Lucas does not spill the beans on anything in terms of talking, he does give Dean a new drawing. This time, the drawing shows a church a little boy with his bicycle. With a little bit of research, Sam and Dean find the church from Lucas's drawing and meet with Mrs. Sweeney. She's the mother of Peter Sweeney, who grew up with Bill Carlton. Mrs. Sweeney's son, Peter, went missing and was never found, and the last time she saw him was with his bike, which reflects accurately exactly what Lucas drew. With this interesting revelation of Bill Carlton's past with Mrs. Sweeney's son, Sam and Dean now have to figure out the connection between the two. We come back to Bill sitting at the lakeside, deep in thought, and he starts mumbling that he knows what to do next. Then we see Bill ride off into the water on his boat. Sam and Dean arrive. They try yelling at Bill to come back to shore because they know whatever's in that water is gonna get him for sure. Unfortunately, Bill has made his mind up and he continues boating. And the boat flips over violently and Bill completely disappears underwater, never to be seen again. Lucas is extremely distressed, and it seems he may be having some kind of psychic connection to the whole situation at hand. Sheriff Devins uncovers the truth that Sam and Dean are indeed not government agents. He gives them the choice to leave or face charges. Sam's like, all right, calm down, we'll bounce. And while all of that is happening at the station, Andrea is at home. She decides to run a bath because she's been tired. She's been on her feet all damn day. She needs to soak in a nice hot bath. And while she's soaking, we're seeing the water run greenish, similar to what we saw with Will Carlton. Oh no. And as expected, we see a mysterious force try to drown Andrea in the bath. Lucas knows what's happening and he's banging furiously on the door. Dean and Sam arrive at Andrea's house to see a frantic Lucas pleading for help. Sam pulls Andrea out of the bath in the nick of time before that whatever thing in the water drowns her to death. Andrea then reveals to Sam she heard a voice say, "Come play with me," as she was being pulled underwater. So it's fair to assume that the victims of this particular force all heard the same thing too. Sam's like, "Don't worry, we got you, girl." Andrea is shown an old picture to see if she recognizes any of the children on it. She points to one boy whom she identifies as her dad as a 12-year-old boy. Sam and Dean are like, "Oh shit, really?" This leads Sam to making the connection between Bill, the missing boy Peter Sweeney, and Sheriff Jake Devins. Boom! Lucas then gets Sam and Dean's attention and he runs over to a patch of grass and pretty much points to it and then walks off. Sam and Dean understand that there's likely something buried underneath, so they start digging up that patch of grass. And what they discover is the mother of all discoveries up until this point in the episode, and that is the bicycle to which Sam recognizes as belonging to the missing Peter Sweeney. But before Sam and Dean can do anything about it, Sheriff Devin arrives and points a gun straight at them. Sam's like, "Bruh, you killed Peter Sweeney, didn't you? You buried his bike, and now his ghost will kill your entire family if you do not own up to it and let us help you." Andrea's like, "Come again now? Dad, is that true?" The sheriff is like, "Well, yeah, kinda. You see, Bill and I, we were like young hooligans and we were bullies and we bullied Peter just a little too much one day by dunking his head into water for a minute too long, and yeah, he died. So, instead of telling anyone, we buried his bike and crossed our fingers for like 40 years straight." And while Sheriff Devins is confessing his heart out, Lucas becomes compelled what seems to be by the spirit of Peter from the lake and is pulled into the water. Dean and Sam dive in the lake to save Lucas. And the ghoul of Peter pops his head out of the water, looks at Jake and is like, "I'm gonna get you, Jake, don't you worry. Your grandson is just a snack. You are my dinner." Jake's like, "Aw shit, Then he gives in and he's like, all right, cool, release my grandson, take me instead. Andrea's like, what the fuck? Peter's ghost is like, gotcha, bitch. And Jake dies. Dean pulls up out of the water with the body of Lucas. He don't look too good. In fact, I think he's dead and I'm freaking out. And it makes it even worse that the next scene, Sam and Dean are there looking all somber, and Sam turns to Dean. He's like, we can't save anyone. And again, leading me to believe that they didn't save Lucas, and I'm going into hysterics until the camera pans over to a happy Andrea and a smiling, alive Lucas. Yay! Lucas is totally fine now, and he's chatting up a storm with everybody. And on the side, Andrea tells Sam, Dad loved me. He loved Lucas. No matter what he did, I just have to hold on to that. As simple as this statement may be, it's a very powerful message about unconditional love. A message you don't hear about these days, and that's why I just had to point out that scene as one of the most touching scenes that I related to very much. And after planting a big kiss on Dean's sweet-looking lips, we then peace out on Andrea and Lucas, making me wonder if we might see them again, perhaps a teenage Lucas in season 10, maybe? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if we see Lucas again. And this episode ends as usual with our dynamic duo, Sam and Dean, riding off to their next adventure. And there you have it, folks. That is my summary of episode 3, Dead in Water of Supernatural. Now let's go on to my review. I hope you enjoyed that summary and some of the inside jokes that I was trying to sprinkle in on the images. It's kind of the best way to avoid issues with those images, if you know what I mean. So let's now talk about this episode. And those of you who are familiar with my channel, you know I like to start with some of the stuff that I may not have liked or things I'm confused about, and then end off with a bang with the positives. Thankfully, there was only a couple of stuff that confused me. So nothing in particular bothered me or that I found terrible about the episode at all. And so here are a few things that confused me, and they all had to do with Peter and Peter's ghost, Peter Sweeney. So first thing that didn't make any sense to me was that, according to Sam's findings, other people had died in that lake that weren't related to the Carltons or the Devins. So why is that? Because towards the end of the whole thing, when everything's unraveled or revealed to us, Peter's vengeance was against Bill Carlton and Jake Devins' family. So why did it attack innocent people? And then the second thing that didn't make any sense to me was, why now? Why at that time? Let's use the beginning of the episode as an example with Sophie Carlton. She goes out swimming, and that's a regular thing for her. But why on that day, the spirit of Peter or whatever wants to kill her or wants to take out vengeance on Bill by, killing his kids? It didn't make any sense to me at that point in time. Why no earlier than that? Why didn't it start attacking the minute one of them was near that lake from maybe when they were younger? And so it made me wonder, did I miss a point where they mentioned there was a particular date that mattered for this ghost to go after everybody? I don't think there was, because I rewinded it for different reasons, not necessarily for that at the time, but I don't remember hearing Sam mentioning a specific time frame. So if I missed that, or you know more than me on that, please comment in there, or it could have just been something the writers at the time didn't really think of. I don't know. And that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else that bothered me with this episode. So let's now move on to what I freaking loved, because I loved a lot of stuff with this episode, man. Oh my goodness. But I'm only going to do my top 3 because I'm a long-winded person and I can go on and on and on and on. Okay? So the first thing that I absolutely loved with this episode is the mystery. It was so intense. I really could not guess what was what, who was what. I mean, I was guessing all kinds of shit. I was guessing everything down to the house cat. I was like, it's the cat. It's the cat killing people. It was intense. And I really love that. I love when it keeps me guessing. And by the time we had the reveal of Jake, or the sheriff, being a part of the whole thing, pretty much killed a kid by drowning him, I was like, God damn, that's tragic and sad, but it makes sense now why he's after their family. But again, why at that time, right? Why not earlier on? And if there were so many tragedies happening with this lake as well, another third thing is, why did Bill let his daughter swim there so regularly? Again, if I miss something, please correct me in the comments, but that confusion with Peter is gonna drive me nuts. All right, the second thing that I absolutely love with this episode is one particular moment that I rewinded like 3 times because I thought it was just the funniest freaking thing, and that is Thirsty Dean. When he is thirsty, if you know what I mean, he is thirsty. Down to the point where Boy's like, I love kids. And Sam's like, really, you do? Name me 5 of them that you know. And he couldn't name them. And I had to point that out in my summary because I burst out laughing with that. And it was just so well played. And Dean genuinely looks perplexed that he cannot think of 5 kids he doesn't know, but yet he loves kids, right? And so yeah, I love that whole interesting kind of subtle flirting, but at the same time too, you know, it's quite obvious Boy probably hasn't had some water in a while, so he's like, let's try to tap this well. But she wasn't having none of it. But at the end, it was cute that she kissed him, and I thought that was interesting how I think the previous episode, Wendigo, the girl kissed him on the cheek, and now he gets a kiss full on the lips by none other than one of my favorite actresses, Amy Acker. So that leads into the third thing I loved with this episode, and I did not expect it because I didn't look up the credits before watching it. I try not to look up anything before watching these episodes because I want no spoilers. So yeah, Amy Acker, huge fan. For those of you that may or may not know, because I've mentioned it in other videos, I'm a huge Buffy and Angel fan, and so especially Angel, Amy Acker is like, she's just amazing. And so to see that she was in Supernatural, it made sense. And then when I went on IMDb just to check the dates, it's interesting how when Angel wrapped up, then she ended up on Supernatural, and she actually ended up on an episode of my other favorite show, Grimm. So yeah, Amy Acker, it was nice to see her and play that kind of role, because I'm a bit used to her in a different way, if you are fans of Angel. And just in case, because I get this sometimes whenever I tell people that I like Buffy and Angel, I always get as a following question, which one do you prefer, Buffy or Angel? And I'm just like, they're 2 very different shows, yet they have common elements, but they're not the same show. But if I had to pick one, if I was stuck on a deserted island, it would be Angel. So those are the 3 main core things that I take away from this episode. Overall, it's definitely my favorite out of the 3 watched so far. It gets a solid 9 out of 10. I cannot give it 10 out of 10 because that whole thing with Peter and the ghost and the timing and, you know, why it's picking at that time and all that stuff that I just mentioned that I didn't understand or like much, kind of scores off a point, but everything else is great. Now I'm just going to address a couple of you with some of the common comments I've been getting with the Supernatural reactions. So many of you have suggested to watch the gag reels at the end of every season. I will be watching it for sure, and I'll let you know my thoughts on that. And for those of you that will end up watching it as a reaction elsewhere off of YouTube, you definitely will have a hoot, hopefully, watching me watch that. And also some of you mentioned conventions to watch, so I guess a bunch of Comic-Con panels, I'm assuming. And it's been 15 seasons, so that's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, like, you know, their first panel down to their last panel. Oh my goodness, that must have been so emotional for fans. And for those of you that are hardcore, I can't even imagine what that must have felt like when the season ended. Because I know for me, I'm a bucket of tears whenever my shows that I love so much end. It literally feels like I've lost someone close to me. I'm a basket case. So, and the one of you recently commented that you've calculated if I watch 2 episodes a week, it'll take me 6 years to get through this show. So all the more, I'm going to let you in on this right now, in this moment as I'm recording this, because next to The Expanse, the majority of you watch or subscribe to my channel for my reaction to Supernatural. Okay, so I'm going to just let you know now, one of the other main reasons why I want to move over my reaction somewhere else that's not going to rip me off in terms of ads and monetization issues and copyright stuff is because I'll also be able to watch more episodes. I would like to try to bump up my watch of this show to at least 4 episodes a week. I think that's sufficient considering I have other shows that I'm watching and I've got my own work to do in between. And with my city that I'm in right now on lockdown, you know, not much else to do but to watch and work at home. So I want to be able to do it quickly, fast, upload it, have it ready for you guys to take a look at, have a hoot, hopefully, comment, answer some of my questions. Now, I know some of you are really curious as to what this all means for my channel. I know many of you are really interested in seeing me react. So as I said before, I will have an update video that's officially going to tell you what's what. And again, watch that video that I mentioned earlier on in this video. Link is also in the description box. That gives you an idea as to what's been going on. And all I could say right now is, as long as you have a smartphone and you're willing to download another free app, it's absolutely free, and it's a safe app, okay? And you're okay with just creating a profile with your email address and following very basic instructions to log in, you know, you will have somewhere to watch me react to these episodes at least up to 4 times a week. And maybe I might binge watch up to 5. It really depends on, you know, the moment and the mood. And not only will you be able to watch my reactions in full with very little editing involved, okay? I do have to protect copyright stuff though still, but not as badly as I did here on YouTube, okay? And not only will you be able to watch me, but you'll be able to participate more with me. So you will have access to create trivias. I want you to create memes for me, or share memes that you know of. You can play games and amongst each other, test each other out, you know. Now, in case you're wondering, well, what about spoilers, Asha? Because I'm sure 99% of you watching right now are ahead of the game and you're finished watching all 15 seasons. And this channel is just for you to kind of rehash a little bit down memory lane kind of thing. Don't worry about it. I won't be looking at those posts, and the way apparently this platform is structured, because I'm still working with it right now, you can tag me for non-spoilery stuff and I will look at it, and anything I'm not tagged in, I will not be paying attention to whatsoever. And yeah, so it's exciting, and I'm all about creating a community. I don't want to put in 2 to 3, 4 hours of time sometimes because I'm literally editing as I'm working online from home. And so it can take me up to 4 hours sometimes for one video. That's why sometimes I'll release my video like super late in the night, because that's when I was able to finish it. And it kills me inside to know I'm putting all that work, and you know, immediately it's like, oh well, we'll let you use our images on YouTube if we can make money off of it, and all your hard work is just for nothing, really. It's not fair. And I feel YouTube does not provide a really good space to create a more interactive and engaging community space. And I'm not interested in Patreon, for those of you wondering, and I do talk about why in my update video. Now, of course, I understand some of you will definitely not be interested in going off of YouTube to watch reactions. I understand that. So what you can expect from here on, if you're still interested, is at least my review. No matter what, I will still be uploading my review. I won't be doing any more summaries though, because summaries does take me time, not as much time as the other type of edits, but it still takes me about an hour and a half to do the summaries. And so as of next week, then I'll just have the last portion as you're seeing now, right? This review part where I talk about things I didn't like and things I did like about the episode. And if that's good enough for you, great. And if not, I will always still have the option and the link available in the description box as to where you can go see me laugh and cry and swoon over Dean. All right, everyone, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. The prompt is there on the screen. And if you didn't enjoy this video and you're really bummed that this is, this is where it's come down to YouTube, blame YouTube. Write them, tell them. Sorry, I can't please everybody, but at the same time too, I gotta look out for my time, and I also want to look out for people who genuinely are interested in creating a community with me for this newfound joy for Supernatural. So, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos and subscribe. You know you wanna.